Hey everyone, Karl Pierre here, and welcome back to my channel. You've been asking and I've been listening. There's a whirlwind of questions about where exactly do I live? Today, I'm here to solve that mystery. My living situation is a bit unconventional, yet incredibly exciting, and I'm thrilled to walk you through it today. Get ready for a jet-setting journey as I unfold the unique aspects of my life across multiple continents. Our journey starts in the sun-drenched landscapes of the United States. Florida is my home base and is where I spend a significant part of the year. Why Florida, you might be asking? Well, here's why. Back in 2019, I moved to Florida mainly for two reasons. One was to get out of New York City because I was tired of winter and so was my wife, and we wanted to move to a place that was going to be coastal. We were thinking either between Puerto Rico because of the tax savings that I would experience by relocating to Puerto Rico, starting businesses there, etc. There was an incredible tax program that is still in existence but being challenged. And the other option was Florida. Fort Lauderdale to be exact. I didn't want to move to Miami because it's too busy and it's more expensive than I really wanted. And I wanted to be a little off the beaten path. So I chose the smaller city, Fort Lauderdale, which is right by Miami. And what that did for me was gave me access to Miami International Airport, where I could get pretty much wherever I needed to get in the world, as well as Fort Lauderdale International Airport, which is like the midpoint between New York City, where I have businesses and real estate, and Medellin, Colombia, where I also have businesses. So I figured being right in Fort Lauderdale would give me the tax savings as an individual in the state of Florida, since there is no state tax in Florida, and it gave me good positioning to be halfway between South America and New York City, with the added benefit of not having to deal with winter anymore. I like being coastal. I love the beach. My wife does, my family does. It's pretty important for us to be coastal, so Fort Lauderdale made the most sense. I started to invest in real estate there. I've covered the property that I have. It's a triplex. I live in one unit. I rent out the others on Airbnb. When we travel, the whole house is an Airbnb house that can generate on the higher side of things about $12,000 and on average around $9,000 a month. For those of you who are interested in house hacking, like I just explained, living in one unit, renting out the other two, I have an incredible program called Killing the American Dream that shows you exactly how I invest in 1 to 4 family real estate. It's exactly how I built out a multi-million-dollar portfolio in New York and Florida and now internationally, and it's something that you could replicate. In fact, I do work with some of my students from time to time flipping properties together. I call that the Invest and Learn program, where together we do a deal and we exit that deal typically for a profit. That's the goal for me. I haven't had a property that I haven't exited for a profit with an Invest and Learn program. So if you are interested in something like that, you can check out my program at encplife.com. Sign up. It's not that expensive and it teaches you a bunch about how to do what I'm doing. Another thing that it's important for me to talk about why I'm still living in Florida is because my wife is not from the United States. She's a foreigner. She's currently living in the United States on a green card that she obtained through our marriage. And we can't pick up and leave the country for more than 6 months at a time because she will lose her residential rights in the United States if the government chooses to just pull it from her. So if we went down to Colombia and spent a year straight in Colombia, she might not be granted access back into the United States and lose her green card status actually. So we're on our final year. This year, she's going to become a citizen. And from that point forward, we could leave and be out of the United States permanently. Now that's my goal. I've been looking to move out of the United States since I would say roughly 2011. Got married, started a family, got my financial situation all settled in the United States so that I could live anywhere else. And right now I'm only held back by my wife's status. I thought this process would be a lot quicker. If I knew that it was gonna take this long, I most likely would have purchased in Portugal or in one of the tax havens in the Caribbean area, purchased citizenship for her, for my family, and just been done with it. The cost of living in the United States, in my opinion, is too high. And the trade-off for what I'm spending to live and support my family in Florida, I could have just made that investment in real estate abroad or make a tax donation, and I could have gotten her citizenship in another country. You see, the thing is, she's Venezuelan. And Venezuela, if you don't know, has been going through like an economic crisis and political crisis where a lot of their citizens have been leaving the country. And because of that, they've placed a lot of restrictions on the Venezuelan passport. They can't travel to Panama, Mexico, the Dominican Republic without a visa. So to me, it didn't make any sense for her to have that, and she agrees that she wanted to have a citizenship that was worth it. Looking at this entire process of naturalization in the United States, it would have just been better for me to go out, purchase that property in Portugal, get a golden visa from the residential or the real estate purchase, or just make a donation in like St. Kitts and Nevis and get a passport for her that made sense, right? And we could have been living globally from that point, but that's not the situation. So when you see me, usually in the setting where I'm like in a room and there's, that's my typical set, that's filmed from my Florida office. When you see me with the background that is like the countryside or like mountains, that is Medellin, Colombia. So most of the time I'm splitting between Fort Lauderdale and Medellin. Now let's take a virtual flight to the vibrant landscapes of South America that I was just referencing. I've established profound connections in both Colombia and Brazil. You may be curious why I operate a business in Medellin and invest in a beach house in Brazil. It's a tantalizing fusion of business, leisure, and a profound love for these extraordinary places. So I first traveled to Medellin back in 2016, and I actually fell in love with that city. It's a city that's built into a mountain valley. So it's 360-degree views of the mountains. The weather is amazing. The people are awesome. And the cost of living is really low. And unlike what many of us think in the United States, Colombia is a pretty well-developed country. It does have a wide range of a large wealth gap. You have some uber rich people, some uber poor people, and everything in between. And because of that, it can be a little challenging at times. And that's probably what Americans are fearful of. But when I went there and I saw that there's a subway system, good construction, great restaurants, great nightlife, I was like, wait a second, this feels very much like an American city in many ways, but at a quarter to a third of the price. And that's what really sold me on potentially considering living in Medellin. Since then, I had built out an Airbnb that I rented out for a few years before the pandemic. I also built out a team of workers to support my businesses in the United States. So aside from the Airbnb business, I decided that I was going to have employees in Colombia servicing my nursing agency and my home healthcare agency so that we had the support. I even have property management managing properties in the United States from Colombia, a lot of the rent collections to follow up with our real estate agents, to follow up with our tenants. All of that happens from Colombia and Venezuela. And I decided that, hey, if I could build out this team that could work in my companies in the United States, I could save some money there on labor while improving the quality of the services that we provide, because the employees are remarkably cheaper than the United States, but they're more educated than a lot of the talent that I find in the States, multilingual, and really dedicated to the job because we're paying above average rates. So I get a discount compared to US employees, but I also am paying above average rates to our talent down in South America so that they're dedicated and they're working probably harder than my US assets to build the company that I ultimately want to have. And I wanted to have this diversification of people just because they view the world from completely different places. And again, there's that cost benefit for me. Now, from time to time, you see me on this channel covering how to start a nursing agency, how to start a home care agency, but I've also set up another channel called Passive Workforce, which is 100% dedicated to healthcare entrepreneurship. So if you're not already aware of that, I highly recommend you go check out that channel, subscribe there, because every week we put out a video on one of those topics: growing your nursing agency, growing your staffing agency, growing your home care agency, tips and tricks within the industry. All of that is covered there in great detail. From time to time, I do touch on it here. Also, for those of you who are looking to start one of these businesses, you can always go over to passiveworkforce.com, see exactly what services we offer, from one-on-one coaching to online courses, group mentoring, you name it, we have you covered if you're looking to start a business in the United States, in the healthcare industry, to ultimately fund the life that I have, right? All my money comes from the States, the majority of it at least, so like 90% plus comes from the United States. So that is the money that I use to power my lifestyle across the globe. And I'm comfortable with that. And a lot of people who are thinking about living internationally are thinking, how can I afford it? And this is one of the best ways to do so. Build a workforce that works for you in the United States, earns your US dollars, and allow yourself to spend that money where your dollar goes a lot further for the lifestyle that you ultimately want. Now, to talk a little bit about Brazil. Brazil was a country that I went to for the first time in 2019. And it wasn't really on my radar. It was always a place that I wanted to visit, but I was like, I'll get to it. And Brazil is not really a country that's heavily promoted in the United States as a vacation or tourist destination. The Olympics and the World Cup did a good job at putting Brazil a little bit more on the map. Not to really say that it's not on the map, it's freaking huge, but I never really had like this idea of going there and even making a life there. But when I went to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro to be exact, I fell in love with that country. The ocean meeting the mountainside, the jungle vibe, the people, the language, everything about Brazil pulled me in. And that's why I decided to build out my house in Cabo Frio, which is about 2 hours from the Copacabana area of Rio de Janeiro, but it's another beachside city that's growing, and I think it's a good investment. Already, I'm expecting that project is gonna run me anywhere between 130,000 to 150,000, completed, furnished, ready to go. And the market value for that property right now, finished, is gonna be about 200 grand. So I'm up about $50,000 in equity in that property. And again, these are things that I like to talk about because in truth, I'm an entrepreneur first before I'm a world traveler. So I'm always looking around in these different areas for opportunities in business, opportunities for a workforce, opportunities to build real estate, vacation rentals, etc. So when I was in Brazil, like I said, first I fell in love with the landscape, I fell in love with the people, I fell in love with the culture, and decided, since I am a lover of the coast, that I'm going to build a beach home in Brazil. Now, I'm not going to be living in Brazil full time by any stretch of the imagination. I'll probably do maximum 2 months a year in Brazil. And those 2 months are going to be right around Christmas and Carnival time, which is Brazilian summer. So while it's winter time in the Northern Hemisphere, so if I'm in Spain or I'm in the United States, when it's winter time there, it's summer in Brazil. So now I could live summer all year round. And that's the main reason why I'm getting into that Brazilian market. Secondary reasons, Brazil is an emerging market, 220 million people and growing. They're self-sufficient, timber, ethanol production, gas and oil production, natural resources, inexpensive workforce, young workforce. I see that Brazil has a lot of promise. Once they get corruption under control, or at least control corruption a little bit more, that economy I anticipate taking off, especially when they start competing on a global level more so than they're doing now. A lot of materials are manufactured there. Again, ethanol is produced there in mass quantities. So there's a lot going for Brazil, but I still see substantial upside going forward. And finally, let's not forget my European endeavors. What sparks my interest in restoring homes in Italy? And why the announcement of relocating to Spain? There's more to these countries than meets the eye, and here's what I have to say about that. So I came to Italy mainly because I saw the €1 homes being advertised. My brother showed me they were selling €1 homes in Italy. We thought, hey, why not buy a home there, build out a vineyard, have our own wine, spend summers there. It'll be great for our family, great cultural site. And that was the idea behind it. And when I came here, I fell in love with Sicily. So I started buying real estate here. So I have the home that I'm in now. I have the other home where my family stays. And then I just bought my third house in the town of Musumeli. And I got a fourth house, which is an investment property that is in Castellamare del Golfo that I'm doing as a group investment. So again, those of you who are interested in real estate, if you want to invest alongside me and I do have seats open, then you're more than welcome to shoot me an email at invest@entplife.com to get more information on that project, because I am opening it up to the public, especially people who are interested in buying and living in Sicily while having the upside of a vacation rental. I'm still going to spend time here, but never did I think about relocating and moving my family to Italy. And the main reason for that is because I don't, it's gonna sound jacked up, but I don't think the Italian language is that useful in the world today. Not many Italian colonies, not many native Italian speakers. So I was just like, do I want to raise my kids in an environment where their primary language, the language that they're educated in, is not really being used on the world scale? Also, the economy here is not necessarily on the rise. So it's not like we're getting any favorable positioning here by moving my family here. And that's what I'm thinking about. Would I live here as a single person? Yeah, sure. I'd spend 6 months out of the year here. That's not a problem. I enjoy it here. The issue is that, again, I do have 2 young children, probably will be having more kids down the line. What am I going to do as far as their education is concerned? I know I don't want them educated in the United States early in life, maybe later in life, college, something along those lines is fine. But as kids, I want them raised completely different than the American way. Which leads me to Spain. Again, my wife is a native Spanish speaker. One of my life goals is to speak Spanish on a high school level. And I thought, well, if my wife speaks a language, we love Spain as a country. It's affordable, education system's pretty good enough to raise my kids in. My kids would grow up multilingual anyway because they'll speak English because of me, Spanish because of mom, raised in a country where I think 500 million people speak Spanish natively throughout the world, especially in the Americas. So I felt like I could get the right balance of culture that I love in Colombia, language and cultural diversity, which I think is important to me, cost of living, and modern living, because Spain is not far off as far as infrastructure development is concerned. You look at South America, like I said, there's that wealth gap, the disparity of income. It's not the same in Spain. And I've been covering Spain because I've made my mind up that Spain is probably the leading place to raise my family. And I have about 3 years to solve for that. Why? Because my daughter, my youngest, is 2 years old. And by the time that she's in kindergarten or first grade age, I would have finished setting everything up that I need to set up in Colombia. And then we're gonna move from Colombia, most likely, to Spain. Now, that's 3 years out from today, which means a lot can change in that time. What I am 100% sure of is that I don't want to be in the US and I don't want my kids raised there. I'm going to continue to farm my money from the United States, but I'm going to be living somewhere else. So immediately after my wife gets her citizenship, we're moving down to Colombia, trying to spend about 3 to 4 years there, and then most likely raising our kids in Western Europe, in Spain, until they're at the age of high school and going to college. And from there, who knows where life will take us as a family. But that is the plan. So when you see me filming in different places, it's not that I am living there 100% of the time. I'm not going to live 100% of the time anywhere. I'm at that place at the moment, either building and developing my businesses, working on some real estate, traveling for vacation, or doing research. So please, the next time that I post a video where it's talking about life in Peru, maybe, or life in Chile, Argentina, it's really to educate the public and me doing my own research as to where else do I want to invest and how do I want to put my money to work and what sort of life do I want to live, and sharing it with you guys. And there we have it, folks. We've journeyed through the continents and unraveled the unique story of my living arrangements. But I do have a little bit more. If you're eager to see more of how I've pieced together this unconventional lifestyle, I highly recommend that you check out this video right here, where we dive into the finer details of my global arrangements and discuss how you too can navigate and live a dynamic life. Also, if you're interested in working with me, just shoot me an email at info@entplife, shoot me your resume, and I might be able to get you on my payroll working for one of my companies, especially if you're thinking about living internationally. Till the next one, take care.